Welcome back to Pwn TV. It's your host, Mr. Overgriff here, and I want to take maybe 10-20 minutes to discuss briefly a list of cards for Dragon Ball Super that you should be playing no matter what color you're playing, no matter what leader you're playing. It doesn't matter what you're playing. You're going to want to play one of these cards on this list in your deck. And I can talk briefly about the reasons why you would play them, but I'm not going to go into too much detail just to save time. You're going to want to look these cards up. I'll just briefly tell you why they're good, and we'll go through the entire list. So let's start with the black. You have your negates for black, times Judgment. Toa, basically is a deck thinning tool. You have a super combo card. Most decks will run super combo. Overwhelm. Overwhelm cards are good. You have ways to put cards in your deck and from your deck into your drop right here, so there's some good cards as well. Supreme Kai of Time is really good to tutor up the card you want. These cards basically do exactly what the other Majin Twins did, but a turn later. So they're also really good. Depending on what leader your opponent's using, you might want to run one or the other. Also, Critical and Blocker are really good effects to have on cards. So for black, you've got those choices. This is a really good Overwhelm card for black. Definitely something you could tutor up with your black package. Definitely something that's going to give you a swing, because you're going to be peeling cards from their area, like their hand or in some cases life or you know, battlefield. Anything where you're taking a card from one of their zones and putting it in the drop is basically a tempo swing. Anything where you're like making them focus your battle card because they want it gone so they can establish board presence, that would be a tempo swing, because you've made that play and now they can't hit you. They have to redirect their attention to the threat that you played. Would be a tempo swing. That's what I'm talking about. It's like a yin and yang thing. You've got black and white, and one side's getting stronger than the other. You want to keep the game balanced until you're in the position to win the game, and then you can win the game. So tempo swing would be in your favor if you can like peel a card from their hand or from the battle area. If you hit them with crit or something like this is a discard mechanic, but like let's say you hit them with crit, they're losing a card because they're going to combo over it, or they're going to lose a card from their life. Either way, they're pitching a card from their hand or their life, and they're putting it in the drop. So tempo swing right there, simply because you're turning the tempo in your favor. So that's what I mean when I say tempo swing. You basically be winning the game sooner. You also have Time Patrol Trunks. In addition to the Mira, you could be using one of these. One of these is really good. I would probably not run both, but some number of these two cards. If you're running enough Overwhelm stuff, like enough gas for your Overwhelm package, you could probably play something like this. Or if you're running a lot of zero drop combos, you could play something like this. This is really good on metagame right now. I actually went undefeated today by playing this card, because it was just too good at stealing their board state from them. And even if I lost this card afterward, they still couldn't do anything about the fact that I took their board from them. So it's just really, really good. Basically buys you a turn, for sure. Dark Plot, I haven't really seen it played today, but it's definitely a card you could consider playing. It's one of the newer cards, and it hits a lot of stuff. If you resolve this at the right time in the game, you could win the game, so very good card. And your Xeno Evolve card for your Toa. If you ran any other Toa, you would want to run the Xeno Evolve Toa, and this is a really good one. Simply because you can steal. Most of the Xeno Evolves are really good. Let's just get that out of there, out of the way really quick. But I can't include all of them on this list. I'm really just including like the low cost stuff when I make these lists, just to save time. This card basically steals their threat from them, so it's another tempo swing. If you play enough tempo swings, you're just going to win the game. You have your Trunks as well. It's another really good Overwhelm card with a Xeno Evolve equivalent that you could play. So if you run any of the Trunkses in your deck, run this Xeno Evolve. And that's a really good choice right there if you have it. For Mira, there's another Xeno Evolve Mira I didn't include on the list, but it should be played if you run this Mira. And we have the Increasing Evil Mass Saiyan as well. This is probably one of the, I don't know, it's really interesting when I see this resolve, and it does change games, but it's not really the best 4-drop that you could play for black, but it's a good one. And this is probably the best, one of the best black cards, probably in the whole color. Mass Saiyan. It's just a really good tempo swing. It screws your opponent up so bad when you resolve this. And another really good equivalent, I guess, to Mass Saiyan, you could say, arguably this is like what you would play if you're not playing Mass Saiyan, is Scientist Fu. It draws you 2 cards, it replaces itself, and it gets you an extra card on top of that. So it just really depends on what you're trying to do. It is a little bit tricky to pull this card off. In some cases, you might overextend in one turn by pitching enough 0-cost combo cards simply to cast the Scientist Fu on your next opportunity. And that's not always the best play for you. So by playing Scientist Fu, you might be tricked into like overextending your hand at the wrong time to race out the Fu, and then what if you draw 2 bad cards, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta play the Fu at the right time. That is for sure. Now for blue. Blue is really good at doing a lot of stuff. And most of the colors in this game, from what I can tell, the Bandai, when they create these cards, they're really trying to make all of the colors have some unique trait to them, but mostly they're going to have similar cards to each other. Like there's always going to be a 1-drop tutor, there's going to be a negate, there's going to be a super combo card, a blocker, a critical guy, you know what I'm saying? A guy that can get cheated into play if you comboed with them. Like all the colors have something like that. But I'll talk about some of the really good ones for blue, and I think blue does it better than a lot of other ones do. You have the Bulma here. If you're running a Trunks, then you're going to want a Bulma in your 1 slot. If you're not running a Trunks, but you have any other gods at all, or you're using any super combo or anything like that, you could grab your 1-drop slot could instead be a Gowasu, because it's really good at getting cards and replacing itself in certain decks. You have to build your deck around it. But I guess you'd have to have a Trunks Future in order to play the Bulma too, right? So yeah, you're tutoring, so if you meet the requirements, you're going to play one of these tutors. You're also going to play this otherwise. If you have no gods and you have no Trunks Futures, then you definitely want to just draw a card. That's better than doing nothing with your turn 1 play. So you have the boost. But you can't afford to dedicate more than like 6 or so slots to these cards. You don't want too many 1-drops. It's just going to make your deck weak. Your negate, definitely one of the best negates out there. Whis' Coercion. Senzu Bean, this is basically your 5k pump. There's a couple of colors that are doing it now. Red actually has a Senzu Bean now. We talked about, we haven't gotten to red yet. I'll get to red and we'll talk about the red Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean's really good at making, changing the board state and applying tempo to the game in your favor. Unyielding Spirit Trunks. Yeah, if you're using a blue leader, this is a really good card. It's going to basically do kind of what the Bean does, and it's going to give you another play. And if you're playing Trunks as your leader, it becomes a phenomenal card because Trunks will draw off of it as well. Revenge is a thing, guys. Blockers are a thing. This is a really good card for what it can do. Mafuba. I didn't see any Mafubas tonight. I feel like there's too many other really good cards in that slot to actually justify running it, at least in the main deck. So it's maybe still a good card, but you don't have to run it. If you have the room, you should definitely consider playing the Mafuba though in your 65. Maybe just side deck it. Super combos. You're going to want some number of super combos on your deck. Most people just play 4 super combos, one or the other. They don't really split, and they don't really go any less than 4. But I played tonight with just 2 in the main and 2 in the side, and I went undefeated, so I don't think that's a bad play. Okay, Raging Spirit Son Gohan is probably one of the better cards simply because of what blue is trying to do and their lack of other really good plays in those slots. They have the combo card that comes into play, and it's particularly useful in like red and yellow. Most of the other colors can't really squeeze it in. They don't have the room to squeeze in the combo card that plays itself tapped. But I mean, I particularly don't play it in red because I have too many other really good cards that I need to dedicate my deck to, and I just don't have any room or desire to play the Vegeta. Plus I get the Topo in red that I can also play in a combo. Well, technically not a combo, it would be a negate, which would be basically the same thing because I would be preventing the combo step and playing a guy, right? So another card, Jocko. One of those things I think most people are side decking right now. but you don't always see this card, and I didn't see it at all tonight. But don't rule it out, it's a good card. Some number of critical guys in your 3-drop slot for blue is not bad. You do have these 3 choices here. Critical's really strong. And I think that's about it for the early game blue cards. There's obviously a lot of different blue cards that you can go in turn 4, turn 5, and turn 6. But for the basic stuff that you're going to try to play, there's your package. You could build on from there. For green, we have all these cards. You have the King Vegeta surprise attack. Giving revenge to a card is really strong. You have a tutor for Broly. You have a tutor for Saiyans. You have a tutor for androids, basically. Right? Negate, especially if the metagame is all weenies, which it's really not right now, so you gotta be careful. There are enough tutors to justify playing this card, but this is a really good negate. Simply if you have nothing better. If you're playing androids though, you're gonna want to use this negate instead. If your lead is an android, it's just simply better, and you would just not play the full power Vegeta. Obviously, drawing is a thing. They made this card to be a little bit different from Majin Buu to add flavor to green, I feel like. So it's a little bit different from Majin Buu. It's a turn late, and it's an extra 5k power, so it's just another option for you if you're playing blue-green, which was very popular in the earlier sets. So, you know, it just replaces itself. And it adds board presence. And then you could, late game, you could just swing this guy and combo onto it and win the game. So, interesting card. Definitely consider playing it in your 2-drop slot. Or you could play this android instead. Also a good choice. It's going to allow you to draw cards every time it swings. Like, they're going to have to kill it, which saves you an entire turn. So it becomes its own leader, basically. You could see a Son Goten in the side deck. Maybe not main deck, but this is a good card in some matchups, depending on what your opponent's playing. You could just deal with it with the Son Goten. Not a bad call. I didn't see it tonight, though. And they would have used it against me for sure. Trunks Protector of Children, this is a combo card, super combo card. You're going to want some number of those in green. There's a good one right here for androids that you could use. This is the second best 2-drop in the entire game. I'll tell you the first best one. It has critical. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'll figure it out in this video. But this is the second best 2-drop in my opinion. That's not a super combo card. That is just simply good for 2 energy. Yeah, really, really juicy. Double green. If you see a double energy cost card for 2, it's probably god tier, right? Like Son Goten blows people out. Okay, Colorful blows people out. If it costs double energy and it's 2, it's going to be really, really good, like top notch. You can't get a better card than that. Because of the energy requirements, it's a fair card. That's the whole entire reason why it looks so good and so busted, is because it's a fair card. Some cards could be cheated into play though, so they're just naturally better in those decks if they're cheated into play, so keep that in mind. For your 3-drop slot, I would say this is a really good card. It's a tempo swing. It's going to pull a card out of their hand and discard it. So you're just going to apply more pressure to them, and eventually if you do enough of these tempo swings, you'll just simply win the game. So Gotenks is not bad. If you're playing a Broly package, you definitely want this card. It's a very, very good card to have in your Broly package. Now, that's it for green. Let's talk about the reds. Now, I've played a lot of Dragon Ball Super in the last 6 months, I would say. I've probably been playing for about 6 months. And before that, I was really, really good. Avid, seasoned Magic the Gathering player. Played really competitively in every format. And I adopted a lot of those experiences to this game. And one thing I know for sure is that I've played enough Dragon Ball Super to really be an expert at what red cards I would play, simply because I always play red cards. There's not a single red card I'm not familiar with. So all of these card choices I've made for a really good reason. I don't play much of the other colors on this list. I'm really just including these cards because I see them a lot in my matches, and because I know they're good, or for whatever reason I just did the homework and I can tell you why they're good. So all the stuff on this list I really haven't played with, but I know they're all good, right? When we get to the reds, I've play tested all of this. And I will tell you for a fact that these are the best cards. So let's start with this. This is your tutor. So 1-drop deck thinning tool. You're going to want something like that. So add other Champas to your deck. You could just Champa into another Champa for 1 and play it, and do it again, and just thin your deck out until you need to top deck like the best card in your deck, and then you'll just more than likely do that simply because all of your bad cards are out of the way. Right. So your counterattack, if you're playing a Saiyan leader, you want to run this. It's so good that I would still even run it without a Saiyan leader if I needed extra negates. But if you're running a Saiyan leader, you definitely need to use this in your main deck as a 3 of. Maybe 2 of in the main and then side some. Something like that. If you're not running a Saiyan leader, this is probably a better negate for you. But even when you are running a Saiyan leader, you could still consider running a split between these two depending on your actual battle cards you chose, because you might be playing the best 2-drop in the game and you might want to untap it so it doesn't die and it just keeps getting critical value for you. So you would have that option with the Vadis' assistance. It's really a blowout. It tilts the opponent so hard. You need some number of blockers in your deck. You do have a couple of choices in red. If you're playing any pan in your deck or a pan leader, you could use this Giru for free. It's a 5k blocker. Otherwise, you just run the Botamo. But if you meet the requirements to play the Giru for free, you might as well just run both and have extra blockers, because you can. Blockers are good, you guys. Blockers are really good in the meta right now. Super combo cards. You're going to want some number of super combo cards. Fun fact, I actually went undefeated today with only 2 super combos in my main deck and 2 in my side deck. Just trying something different. So, just to put a little bit of emphasis on how weak this card is in the early game, you can actually just straight up win games by not drawing into this. This is a dead draw for you at a lot of points in the game, and then it's suddenly a really good draw for you, but until that point, it's a dead draw. So if you're running a deck that has enough like deck thinning ability, then you really don't want to draw into this, so maybe side deck it. That's what I thought of today, and when I did it, I went undefeated. So I still had the 4, but I didn't necessarily always play with 4. You know what I'm saying? I always had at least 2. And so there might be decks in the future that run none of them, and they'd still be really good. Most players would say you're garbage if you don't run a super combo card, but you know, your opinion's going to change when they spoil more cards, basically. Like this one. This is an amazing card. Best 2-drop in the game right here. Hands down. I have no question about that. Now, I do play a lot of red, so I am a bit biased. So somebody else that plays like another, like Broly, they'll probably be like, oh, well, this is the 3-drop, so that wouldn't actually count. But maybe they'll be like, this Caulifla is better because they're biased. But I don't think so. I think the Caulifla can be dealt with, and when it attacks me anyway, I get a life card, so my hand just gets bigger. So I get access to my life when you hit me, and when you hit yourself, you get access to your life. So either one of us, we both get an advantage when you play the Caulifla. But when I play the Quick Rush Trunks, I'm the only one getting the advantage, because I'm stealing your next turn, and I'm stealing a card from your hand or your life, because you're either taking it or you're going to combo over it and lose a card either way, right? And then your next turn has to deal with my Trunks. You see what I'm saying? I could let you hit me with Caulifla all day long and put cards in my hand. So sizing up the dicks here, Trunks is amazing in comparison. Best 2-drop in the game right here. Non-super combo, of course, because all the super combos are 2-drops. But yeah, Quick Rush Trunks, so good. You could use Furthering Destruction Champa on it for 1 energy. So for the low cost of 3 energy, I could be like, double strike crit, kill you. Meanwhile, you're still just in the process of playing your 3-drop critical guy. Like these blue ones up here, right? They're all 3-drop critical guys. I mean, I did it a turn earlier, and it's double strike crit. Like, so good. But it's double red, so of course it's going to be good. 2-drop, any double color specific is going to be good. So, next cards, we talked about Giru, the double striker right here. This is good to play or to actually combo with in general because of the power on it. It's tricky, so you got a lot of different plays with this card. This is another really good critical guy for red. It's double red, unfortunately, but you know, if you wait long enough, it will be a 5 cost on the battle area, and you could actually EX evolve it into an ultimate Goku, and you're good to go. there's a couple of EX evolved Goku GTs in the game that this can actually evolve into. So early game it's crit, late game it's a win con. It's just good. If you're playing red, you want to run this in addition to your quick rush trunks. And if you're playing red and you're not playing quick rush trunks, that's terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm not going to say you're bad, because I'm not that guy. Because a lot of people would say if you don't play super combos, you're bad. And I don't agree with that. But I would argue that if you don't play critical in your deck, you're bad. That's basically more important than super combos, if you want my opinion. And this guy has critical, so there you go. And for red, if you have room, you could run this. If you're playing Pan, just note that you could play this and draw a card on their turn. There's another card I really should include on this list, so really quick, before I go any further, because I really want to talk about this card. I am biased, but I will talk about it nonetheless. Let's put it on there. The last card that you would want to play in your deck if you're running red is this Topo, right here. This is an amazing card. This is like one of the better 4-drops in the entire game. Hands down, I would rather have a Topo in most of my cases than any other 4-drop in my deck. Other than maybe Jiren, depending on board state. Okay? Topo's just really good. Topo's really good in certain decks, like Pan for example. She can draw on the opponent's turn if she plays a guy. If a creature enters the battlefield on my opponent's turn, and I'm playing Pan, I'm drawing a card. Because it's going to be either a Vegeta, which will trigger Pan, or it's going to be a Topo, and it will also trigger Pan. So, whether I play the guy on my turn or your turn, I'm still drawing a card. If I play a guy on my turn, then I play another guy on your turn, I therefore am drawing a card on my turn and also on your turn with my leader. And you're just going to deal with that. You're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. So yeah, if you're playing Pan, you have to run 4 Topos. Just no question. At least 3 in the main, I would argue, and definitely 1 side deck or one fourth one main deck if you're playing that leader. If you're not playing that leader, then you could maybe just get away with playing like the Vegetas. If you're playing Pan, you might even be playing both, but I feel like the Topo is just better than the Vegeta for what it can do, and I feel like the Vegeta just doesn't work for me in this deck. In most of the decks I play the Topo in, the Vegeta just seems like a waste of a turn, so I actually cut the Vegeta out after playtesting with the Pan leader. But if you're not running the Topo, for whatever reason, you probably want to run the Vegeta. Running both is a little bit clunky in your deck, okay? And I think, yeah, that's it for red. So let's talk about yellow. I think yellow is like the last bit on this entire list. Fantastic. So we're getting there. So yellow, if you play Frieza's army as your leader, you play Cold Bloodlust. Period. 3 copies in the main deck, at least. There you go. Very good card for what it can do. It blows people out. It literally blows everyone out. Everyone gets blown out to this card. So just use it sparingly, but use it if you're running Frieza's army, you have to use it. It's very important. One of the best 1-drops in the game for what it can do. Bad Ring Laser, sometimes you just really need to protect your win con. Sometimes you just really need to make sure that they can't counter you. And you would use this card. It's really difficult to pull it off, but it could be a game changer. So consider running 2 in your deck if you're playing yellow. Crusher Ball. This is a great card even if you're splashing yellow. Even if you're just splashing yellow, you could play this card. It's so good. It basically taps their field down. Like, let's say you're playing MC Gohan, which I didn't include in this list. Shame on me, I should probably go back. Let me go back and do that one last thing for red. Alright. Yeah, where are you? Here you are. So let's talk about that one last card, and then we'll move on. Right, so the MC Gohan. Technically, you could get it as for the low cost of 2 energy, so it should be included in a deck that discusses 1 through 3 drops, right, for those early turns. So the MC Gohan. I mean, the Topo comes in for 2, we didn't mention that, but if you're familiar with the card, you should know that it comes in for 2. But just know that it also comes in for 2 under certain conditions. It also can combo on top of the Unending Awakening and come in for 2, so it'll be 3 energy to do this, because you're giving the 5k boost and then you're doing this. This is your Senzu Bean for red. So you have the Senzu Bean in blue, and then for red you have the Unending Awakening Senzu Bean, basically, right? and then the topo could just automatically have the requirements met on the permanent after you do that to just be played. So you could just counter and then counter again, and then blow them out the next turn. But yeah, for the last card that I want to talk about in red, other than Jiren, I'm not going to talk about Jiren, but Jiren's a thing, so you should probably play Jiren if you play red. But definitely want to consider playing this, either main deck or side deck. I actually side decked this. I did like a 2-2 split again today with this card, and I usually side decked in all 4 of them, like, well, all 2 of them, and made myself have 4 in the main, simply because it was just a really good blowout in the metagame right now. And I could draw off of my pan leader to increase my hand size when I play this card, so it will go immediately back up to a 6 cost. So I could just sit with those cards in hand and just have a 6 trap in play. It's just really, really strong. And if you play the Cold Bloodlust, then this card is exceptionally strong because, or not the Cold Bloodlust, the Crusher Ball. If you play the Crusher Ball down here, this card, on their turn, you have 3, you have like double red and a yellow, you play the Crusher Ball, you hit the guy, it's tapped, now you swing the Gohan because your hand size is lower, so you probably have the Gohan play next turn. You swing the Gohan for 2, you just play it, swing it immediately, and you ping them for 2 after you kill their battle card. So kill the battle card, ping them for 2, seems really, really good. Like, that's really difficult to beat. I mean, double strike crit is probably your only other better play than that. But this one actually kills a battle card and inflicts 2, but gives them 2 cards. So you could argue that that's either better or far worse, depending on what the 2 cards are that they got, right? Really good play. So Youthful Bulma, if you're not playing blue, and you're wanting to run yellow cards that replace themselves and have board presence with like combo power, you could play this. Also note that I didn't put any field cards on this list. There are a good amount of field cards. Actually, I might have done 1 yellow one. Yeah, 1 yellow field card right here. But the red field card, Planet M2, is also really good. Not every deck's going to need to play it though, so just because I play enough red, I know that it's a bad card in red. You would not play Planet M2 if you're playing a red deck, so I don't play it. But a lot of players are playing it, and that's fine. It's not a bad card. I just don't see the reason for it. I really don't. And I run critical guys. I know the tricks. I just don't ever care. Because I would rather just make them lose cards. Just make them lose cards and not draw into a bad card. I want to never draw a Planet M2 in the late game, so might as well not play it. But for yellow, you know, they have this field effect, which helps the Great Apes a lot, so you should play it if you're playing the Great Apes. If you're not playing the Great Apes, just don't play a field card. That's fine too. Youthful Bulma, though, is like the card you would play if you didn't have Majin Buu in your deck. If you didn't have the 1-drop Majin Buu in your deck, you would play this card in your 1-drop slot. There's probably also a 1-drop tutor. I don't know what it is. Not really seeing a whole lot of really good cards in yellow. So I know a little bit to tell you the best choices I would make. This list is a pretty fairly long list of yellow cards, and they're all really good for one reason or another, and they've all been playtested. I can definitely say they've been playtested and they are good. I didn't mention the blocker, the 4-drop blocker for blue, though. I did leave that out, didn't I? There is one more card in blue that I didn't put on this list that I'll add really quick. It's a Whis. Right. So yeah, real quick for blue, you have this really, really good 4-drop blocker right here. It's a super good blocker for blue. So just consider that. There's a lot of other cards, like the Piccolo the Strategist promo is really good for blue for 4, and Energy Boost Beerus is really good when you have 5 energy out, and it's also a 4-drop, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So there are a lot of choices, and I don't want to keep adding to that list, but I did want to point out one of my favorites, which is Whis, the Sacred Guard. And we'll get to why this is on the list here as well, because of the Whis. So we talked about the Crusher Ball and all this row. Down on here, we talked about the Bulma. Okay, it's a cantrip, it replaces itself. I wish there were more yellow cards that did it. We talked about the field card. The Flying Nimbus is a counterattack, so obviously you want to play some number of counterattacks. Yellow has a lot of counters for different things, but you might as well run a counterattack in there as well. And this is really good if they're trying to play like Great Apes, or if they're playing any sort of aggro where they're playing Chain Attack Trunks. Like if they run Chain Attack Trunks in their deck, you have to play Flying Nimbus, because they're trying to basically theme their deck around cheating in extra guys to add board presence. And if you use the Flying Nimbus, you prevent them from using all of their threats, and they've just extended their hand, and they later die to like a field wipe. But they never got to use those threats, so they're losing tempo if you do something like that. So Flying Nimbus is definitely a card you could consider in your side deck if you're not main decking it. For blockers, for yellow, this is a really good blocker. It has 20k power. You don't care about that permanent effect. You don't care about Big Getty Star. It's not yellow specific. It's just one yellow. So even if you're splashing yellow, this is a good blocker for 2 energy in general because it's the only 2-drop 20k blocker in the game. Okay? And a 20k blocker takes care of all of their turn 1, 2, and 3 plays in most games. It will just take care of it. You will just not care. So you will get to turn 4 if you play this card. That's guaranteed. So if that's your win condition, trying to get to turn 4, 5, and 6 and not die in the early game, then this blocker might be the blocker for you. Super combos. This is probably the best super combo in the game. A lot of people will say without question, this is a really, really strong super combo. I won't disagree with them. I'm not going to say the other super combos are any less good than this card, but if your hand is good enough, this card becomes amazing. Because you do have to have the card in hand for you to get the effect. Okay? But it's a really good effect. Play a Saiyan from my hand? Okay. There's a lot of good Saiyans to choose from. The next one on the list is arguably the best card to use with Shugesh. It is the Explosive Spirit Son Goku. This is a combo right here, you guys. Shugesh with Son Goku. It's always been a combo. People have seen this for a while. It's not new news, but if you didn't know about it, you need to know about it. Because they're going to actually combo in their defense step. Actually, no, excuse me. I think this is attack only. You play this card. Nope, it's not attack only. That's right. That's right. So that's why this is so good. So either attack or defense, they combo with the Shugesh. And they cheat in a 3-drop or less Saiyan. Ideally, this is going to be their best choice. In most of their combo steps, this is going to be their best choice if they have it in hand. They're going to play this, and they're going to kill whatever you're attacking with. Or they're going to just kill a blocker. And not a blocker, but maybe they'll kill another tapped guy that's not attacking if they go aggressively with this card. But defensively, this is a great combo. Like, you almost want to hold the Shugesh until you get the Son Goku to do this defensively. Because if you sit and draw go, build your hand up, then no matter what they play, unless it's discard at random, they'll basically say an opponent discards a card, chooses a card and discards it. If you have a big enough hand size, you could just never discard these 2 cards. And then in the late game, you could just have this combo and blow out the opponent. They'll go attack you with my 10k dude to combo, kill you. And you'll go, oh, that's a great such and such that's attacking me. It's tapped, right? And they'll be like, yes, it's tapped. Unless it's Jiren, in which case Jiren's never going to be tapped. But yeah, if it's tapped, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to combo Shugesh and then play the Goku, and the Goku's going to kill the tapped creature during my defense step. And you'll just immediately leave combat, and all of your combo cards will immediately go to the drop area. It's a blowout card. Like, this changes the metagame, because now you can't really combo in against a yellow player, simply because they could just do this to you and blow you out. So definitely want to, if you're playing yellow, you want to run these 2 cards. And you're going to basically, the opponents are forced to actually not combo hard on their small guys, or their medium-sized guys, or even their big guy. They really just need to not combo and wait for you to burn these cards. And then if you don't have the cards, if they're at like one, if the yellow player only has 1 card in hand, then you could just go all in on them. But if they have 2 cards, it could be these 2, and you just blow them out. So just play around it if you're playing against yellow. And if you are playing yellow, just definitely play into this. Definitely blow them out. Also, Zarbon, probably one of the most overlooked cards from the previous set. Okay? I think this is a set 1 card. It might be a set 2, I don't remember. I think it's the set 1 though. Either way, whatever set it's from, it's gotta be set 1, you guys. That's a basic Frieza dude. Frieza's army dude right there. Anyway, this card's auto is amazing. Depending on the board state, you could just stand up any of your guys that are tapped. During my opponent's turn, I'm just going to combo out of their attack and not care. Oh, you attacked my Saiyan Cabba? Stand him up. Oh, you attacked my critical fucking Trunks? Stand him up. I guess I don't care anymore. Yeah, you're not going to be able to combo over me because you already comboed, so I'm just going to win the combo. I'm going to stand up my guy, and your next attacker is not going to be able to swing in at him because he's not rested anymore. This card was totally overlooked for so long. And one of the best plays that I've ever done with this card that I'd like to talk about before I end this video, right, is the Zarbon onto the Jacko. If you play the Jacko, if the Jacko's in the battle area, then it's tapped. Let's say it's tapped. Okay, it's tapped, and it has attacked. And your opponent's like, okay, I'm just going to attack the leader. I'm going to ignore the tapped Jacko, and I'm going to attack the leader. If you're playing Zarbon, you can untap the Jacko, and then you can continue comboing with the Jacko from the battle area. And then you could blow out their entire combo. You could take their 10k back to their hand, their double strike back to their hand, whatever it is. And just blow their entire combo out defensively. Simply because you have the Zarbon and you untapped the Jacko and comboed with the Jacko. It's the best way I've ever used the Zarbon, and it's really only possible with that Zarbon. So definitely a card that no one really... that they always overlook this. And if they don't expect this, you can blow them out. Straight up blow them out with this card. Just like the Shugesh and the Goku. Now, no opening Son Goku. This is just like the Frieza's Army guy right here. These are basically the same card. For all intents and purposes, they're just going to be a combo card. 10k boost, comes into play tapped. Could be a card if you're playing against the yellow player, you could bait them into using this and then swing like your MC Gohan at it while it's tapped, because it'll instantly come into play tapped. So your next swinger could be tap 2 red, play the MC Gohan, swing in at the Frieza, kill the Frieza, you take 2. Like, that's a really strong play. If you can bully the card out of their hand, because you know if they're playing yellow, they're going to be running the Frieza or the Son Goku, so you can just do that to them. Because these are really good. If you're playing yellow, you have to play one of these. Yellow and blue, in particular, have to play the combo cards, the 15k combo cards that come in. And this one right here actually takes a life from your life area and adds it to your hand. Some people will say that's really, really strong, but in the metagame right now, like, your opponent is just going to hit your life for you, so you don't really want to actually overextend with this card. You might as well just choose this one. Unless, of course, you're actually splashing yellow. If you're splashing, I mean, like, look at the requirements on this. It's less requirement, but it hurts you in some way. So that's why it's a fair card. It's balanced because giving you a life card is actually hurting you. It's not helping you. A lot of players would like to get the life card to their hand, so that's not bad. But the best way to win a game is to just not lose any life in the first place. Okay? So this card taking your life from you is actually hurting you. You could just draw a really bad card off the life, and you're 1 less life. They have an easier chance of winning the game now. Like, from that point forward. So that would be obviously why the destructive Frieza is actually double yellow, because it's a more balanced card only because it's double yellow. I think the same with the other ones. Yeah, this one's double blue on the Gohan, but they afforded to make this 1 yellow and 2 other because of the life effect on it, extra effect. So it's a balanced card. It's not broken. If people think this card's broken, then they haven't lost enough games yet, but they will eventually lose enough games by doing this card enough times. They will end up losing more games. So it's a balanced card. Anyway, that's it for all of the card choices that I made. I didn't want this video to get very lengthy, and unfortunately there's a lot to talk about in all the colors in this game. But everything on this list, I would argue, is something you should play. You're going to play one of these cards for sure, or you're just playing the game wrong. You should play most of these cards for the colors and for the leaders that they pertain to. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about my choices. Let me know if I left anything out, or if you think I should add something, but I think I pretty much hit everything. All of the 1 through 3 drops and some 4+ energy cost drops pretty much are all on this list. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good weekend.